And it is an extreme pleasure for me to introduce my next guest, which is like meet the new boss, same as the old boss. He is one of the most prominent baseball writers in America ever. Writes a wonderfully interesting baseball column for The Athletic. He's got his own podcast. And unlike me and maybe Pete Rose, he is in the Baseball Hall of Fame. It is the great Jayson Stark joining us. Jayson, great to have you back on the Mike Missanelli Show.
Mike, I've missed you, man. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I am living the dream. How are you doing?
You're still living the dream. You're going to live it forever. It's unbelievable. Your stamina is unbelievable to me.
Yeah, let's go for that. Why not?
All right. Sounds good. Jayson, let's get to the business at hand here. We got a struggling ball club. They win a game last night. They probably shouldn't have with all the mistakes that they made and how the Cubs let them off the hook a few times. But where is this team right now? Because yesterday we talked about maybe they're not even a playoff team.
Yeah, well, you want me to hit you with a little stat of the week?
Yes.
And we'll kind of segue into it from
Let's
there?
do it.
Okay. Obviously, before last night, they'd lost 9 out of 10. And I know we love to overreact to losing 9 out of 10. I get it. I'm from here, especially when you get swept by the Pirates. I understand why people overreact. But here's a stat that I think puts it in a little perspective. And then I've got a takeaway I can't wait to hear you react to. So it's not fatal to lose 9 out of 10. 3 Phillies teams in the last 50 seasons have lost 9 out of 10 and still made the playoffs. So the most recent was the 2011 team. That probably shouldn't count. It was late September. It was after they clinched. They kind of lost interest in trying to win 108 games or whatever they were doing. So we'll put that aside. But the 2009 team, which obviously was the same group that had won the World Series, lost 9 out of 10 in June when they were in first place by 3 games, and then that team went back to the World Series. It was very similar streak in many ways. And then there's one more. This was probably the craziest one. This was the 1976 Phillies. They were 83-42, Mike. They were 15 games up on the division. It was late August. They looked like they were the best team in baseball. And then they basically freaked out the town by losing 9 of 10. They turned a 15-game lead into a 3-game lead in a little over 2 weeks. But they still won the division, got blown out by the Big Red Machine. But my point is, it happens. And having said that, here is my big-picture observation of these Phillies. This is such a star-driven team. And then they spent last week without, I think their 2 biggest stars, Bryce Harper, Zach Wheeler. And you know what it reminded me of without those guys, Mike? The Sixers. I exempt Kyle Schwarber from this, obviously, and most of the starting rotation. But the Sixers thing is because the supporting cast looked like a bunch of players who have not taken that next step to be more than that. And that's what the Sixers looked like to me all last season. So, Mike, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I'm glad to see you're still high on the Embiid-Paul George collaboration, and you think that's going to get better. But
I'm using the term "star" to describe him because I guess that's what he is.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's a pretty good analogy, and so what you're saying is panic is not it should not happen right now. They're fine. They're going to be fine. Is that what you're saying?
You got almost 100 games left.
Uh-huh.
I think what we saw was another reminder this team isn't perfect. They don't hit the ball over the fence enough. Look, they're on pace to hit 50 fewer homers than 2 years ago, and that's bizarre. They don't catch the ball well enough. Bullpen, I would say, has a very small circle of trust, and Bryce's wrist is a huge worry.
It really is, considering the torque that he swings with. So, all right, so now you're throwing me a curveball. Because on one hand, I'm not supposed to worry, and then you just point out these flaws that make me worry.
Well, they're not perfect. There's a lot of reasons to wonder how it's all going to turn out. Bryce is an X factor. I mean, I don't think he'll be out for 2 months, and assuming he's not, if this is a playoff team because of starting pitching, and they have a surplus of starting pitching that they can use to help the bullpen, Dave Dombrowski will trade for a back-end reliever at some point here in the next few weeks. Like, all that's going to happen. But Bryce is such an X factor. You said it. I mean, the Tiger Woods swing is just something to worry about. Can he still let it fly like the Bryce Harper we've come to know and love?
Yeah, it's a good point. All right, so we'll stay at bay for a little while, even though I wanted to bury Dave Dombrowski here because the flaws that exist now existed at the start of the season, the left field situation, the center field situation, the bullpen. But let's move on because you had a very interesting observation, and I believe you were the first one to suggest this, that Luzardo, who had hit a wall in his last 2 starts and got buried, was tipping his pitches. Now, tell me about the technology that detects this kind of thing.
Yeah, I said this to Ricky and Connor last week. Ricky said he didn't like that answer, but just for background, this was a thing for Jesus Luzardo in Miami a couple years ago. It's obviously a thing again. I mean, if you look at the data, the stuff is the same, maybe not located as well, but I don't think it's because he's pitched too many innings. Pitchers with his kind of stuff, Mike, this is how I look at baseball now. They don't just have quote-unquote bad days. Not that bad.
Yeah.
I think both teams that he faced in those last 2 starts knew when the fastball was coming. 11 for 17 against the 4-seamer and the 2-seamer in those 2 starts. 11 for 17 against a guy throwing harder than he's thrown all year. That screams technology to me. And the technology is so good now that if a pitcher's doing anything different on one pitch than another pitch, these teams have AI algorithms that pick up on it instantly. And it's legal. As long as you don't relay that info during the game, like the Astros did with the trash cans, it's legal. It's one of the biggest things happening behind the scenes in modern baseball. And I think it happened to this guy. Was he just off? I don't think so. Were those lineups just hot? I doubt it.
Wow.
I don't know what else it can be.
This is an amazing revelation. Now, are we talking about something like what he does with a glove, or how he cocks his head? Like what exactly are we talking about here?
Yeah, it can be anything. Anything. It's often where he holds the glove. It's sometimes how he positions his hands in the glove. It can be like a posture thing. It can be very subtle. But that's what I'm saying is the human eye. You've had guys through the years who could pick up on this stuff. I mean, Carlos Beltran was legendary even before technology. Chase Utley was legendary. But now you've got AI. You've got technology where you can layer the video of one pitch over another pitch and see exactly how different the guy looks on the screen in front of you. Relay that to your hitters, and if he's not aware of it and he keeps doing it, they know what's coming.
Wow.
It happens all the time.
That's unbelievable. All right, we talked about this yesterday, and you present. First of all, did you cover that 76 team that you were talking about?
No, that's before my time.
Oh, it was before your time. I thought you may have been the beat writer then.
No.
All right, so well, then I lost my train. What was I talking about? Tom. Yeah, we talked about it yesterday about Rob Thompson. You presided over a team that made a managerial change like that because there was a malaise with a really star quality team. Rob Thompson's message, is it still good? Yeah,
I don't get any sense Rob's in trouble. I don't see why he should be. I don't know if Rob Thompson is A.J. Hinch or Kevin Cash or Terry Francona, but he's been a good fit for this team. All he's done is win. I don't think this is the second coming of Dave firing Joe Girardi. He didn't like what he was seeing. He Dave's always around, always. So he doesn't miss anything. But he totally believes in holding people accountable. So you should understand that if this season unravels, anything is possible. And look, Dave fired John Farrell in Boston after they'd made the playoffs 2 years in a row and got bounced quickly both years.
Yeah.
He fired Alan Trammell in Detroit, but that team was terrible. Back when he was with the Marlins, he fired a guy named John Bowles in midseason, but that was a long time ago. It was a very different situation. I just don't see where this is a parallel to any of that. You tell me why Rob Thompson should be in trouble.
No, I don't think he should be. It's not his fault. But again, like GMs look at this and they go, maybe a different message. Because when you change it up, people come in and they go, well, I got to win over this guy now. And it kind of changes your mindset.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible. But all right, if this team's going to hit 50 fewer homers than it hit 2 years ago, how is the offense possibly going to be as good? And if the offense isn't anywhere near as good and the bullpen isn't as good, does that sound like a motivational thing from the manager? I think there's other stuff going on.
Yeah, no, I hear you. All right, last thing I want to talk about quickly is I love to have these discussions with you because, Jason, you've turned into a pacifist when it comes to baseball. You're a pacifist. Retribution is no longer part of your vocabulary. So let's take it back to when Spencer Strider rips into Bryce Harper, your best player, and puts him out for 6 games. Now, my notion at the time was Ozzie Albies is coming up that next inning in the second inning, perfect spot, hitting 6th. The bottom of the order is coming up. That would have been the time for retribution. Is it a coincidence that subsequently the Phillies played with no boiled blood at all because they didn't get that retribution?
Of course.
It's just coincidence.
You're living in a world that no longer exists in this sport. The age of retribution was a thing 20 years ago.
Oh, I liked it, though. I liked
30
it.
years ago. But it's not a thing now. And it could be a thing if it was a situation where they thought that Spencer Strider was clearly drilling Bryce on purpose. But it's a situation where that was as wild as I've ever seen Spencer Strider.
But that's
much trouble as he had.
That's the point.
He was just spraying the ball around all night. Bryce dives in. I mean, he just does. He crowds the plate, and he dives in.
Listen, I get
everybody pitches him like that.
Yes, but that's the point. Everybody's going to try to pitch him inside. So if you try to pitch inside and you hit my man, well, then guess what? I don't like that.
It's not going to change.
All right.
All right.
When I become
I feel you, man.
When I become commissioner of baseball, it'll change.
Really? How are you going to legislate it, Commissioner Missanelli?
I don't know. I'll figure it out later. But I'm counting on your vote to get through the process.
I don't have a vote, but sure.
All right. Jason, always a pleasure. We'll look forward to this every week.
Enjoyed it, my friend. Thanks.
There he is, the great Jayson Stark. And so I knew that's where he was going to go. I live in an age where and he's an old school guy. He's managed to progress. I have not. 610-632-0975. Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. Appreciate you guys checking out things with the Mike Missanelli Show. If you want more from us, check out the playlist right here to get this one. Check out all the playlists. There's a lot to watch.